Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Zeri supplementary guide, and this is this weird kind of build that all of the top players have been using. So taking a quick look here, you can see that this is basically the build that the top two guys are using, and I pretty much just copied it, and I decided to give it a try. I was thinking maybe I could make a top builds video on it, but you know, I actually tried it out. It's actually pretty good, and obviously you know, we're here with the supplementary guide. So let's get into it and tell you what it's all about. So firstly, no surprise here, first item is going to be Gluttonous Greaves for the AD and the Omnivamp, and then it gets weird straight away. So the first real full item you're getting is going to be Terminus. So this is like the Kaisa build, where you go Terminus first item, where you basically get you know, AD and attack speed, as well as on-hit magic damage on the item. You also, of course, get the stacking resistances and the stacking penetration, you know, on your first item. Now, Zeri doesn't have an interaction where you auto-attack once and it full stacks the thing like Black Cleaver or anything like that, but it's still a really solid first item. You know, I go for it first item, of course, on Kaisa, on like Varus, you know, on some champions as well. So first item, Terminus, is not exactly a very huge surprise. The main surprise here is just straight up not building crit, because you would think that Zeri's best build is crit, and I still am debating whether I think this build is better or like just going for full crit is better. For now, I still kind of think full crit is a little bit better, but this build is definitely really good. So yeah, you mainly don't go for Terminus and Zeri just because you're going for more reminder, but here, Terminus first item, really solid. And then you go for the Ruinous Hurricane second item. So Ruinous Hurricane second item is pretty standard on Zeri. You want to be able to attack 3 people at the same time, because Zeri gets body blocked by minions or like by towers, so you definitely need the Runans to hit people outside of the tank that's standing at the front. So core item on Zeri for sure. In this case, you also are able to apply the on-hit of the Terminus on the other people as well, so that's just another plus. And then we go for Riftmaker as a third item. Now, Riftmaker has always been a good Zeri item, because Zeri scales very decently with AP, other than AD. And it gives you Omnivamp, which obviously is a stat you like. Gives you that Void Corruption, which again is something you like as well. And overall, it's just an amazing Zeri item. So, seeing as you already don't build crit, you know, building these items are just going to get you the most bang for your buck. And then the last two items are going to be defensive. So now, Maw is actually just a really good item in general right now, because it gives you 55 AD, which when you compare Maw to, like, let's say an item like, let's say IE, right? Where is IE? IE here gives 60 AD after the buff, but it used to give like 55 AD, so it literally gives as much AD as a key item like IE. So, you know, Maw gives you 55 AD, it also gives you 45 magic resist, and also, of course, gives you the magic damage shield, which pretty much in this day and age, there's always like AP on the enemy team, so pretty much every game, you know, you can kind of go for this. Of course, in games where there isn't actually AP, you maybe don't want to go for this, you maybe want to swap it out with another item. And last item here, we have Twin Guard. Twin Guard, of course, increases your survivability. So the name of the game with this Zeri build is really, you're not looking for that burst damage, you're looking for that long-term DPS and looking to stay alive with your Maw and your Twin Guard, and then you have your Omnivamp on your Riftmaker and your Gluttonous Greaves. So overall, you're just going to be able to do a lot of damage in the long run. So now, Keystone is a little bit of a debate here. So now, Zeri, as we know, has a attack speed cap of 1.5 attack speed, and with Terminus into Runans, you already hit that 1.5 attack speed cap. So I actually decided to go for Conqueror in this match, because I felt that getting the extra AD and the Omnivamp would actually be better. But of course, we actually have the buffed Lethal Tempo, where you gain attack speed as well as range. Now, all of the attack speed you gain here is not going to actually be attack speed, it's going to be converted into attack damage after you get your first 2 items. At the beginning of the game, of course, it is still going to be attack speed, and you're going to get the bonus range. Now, even though I went for Conqueror in the match, I actually think Lethal Tempo is probably better, because just converting the attack speed into AD is useful, but the most useful part is that bonus range, because as I mentioned, if you're in the long run, just auto-attacking that extra, like, I think 75 bonus range is just always going to be good. So I think Lethal Tempo actually a little bit better. Of course, Brutal because you auto-attack a lot, Giant Slayer to counter the tanks, and here we actually go for Bloodline from the Omnivamp, because we are going to convert attack speed into AD, so I think Omnivamp here is just better. And then, of course, we have Bone Plating for the defensive capabilities. And for the spells, of course, we go for Flash together with Ghost majority of the time. Exhaust can be taken if you really need it. But with that said, let's take a look at the gameplay and this kind of funky Zeri build. Okay, so let's hop into the gameplay itself. So yeah, I did find this to be a pretty funny build initially, because it's like Zeri has always basically either built full crit or like built Triforce into crit, which by the way is still a viable build. Yes, there have been some AP builds like the Manamune into like Infinity York kind of build, and also like just pure AP builds like with Nash's Tooth, which I have covered before on the channel way back when. But I've never seen a on-hit Zeri build, and the main reason why generally attack speed Zeri builds just are not very successful is just because of the attack speed conversion. It's this kind of same logic as Jin, where you generally as Zeri want to build only one attack speed item because building more attack speed items is just not worth it. Just because the conversion from attack speed into AD is never really very good. It's just to discourage you from building too much attack speed. It's the same kind of logic as like Yasuo and Yone. Like, yes, like building extra crit converts into AD, but the conversion is so horrible that it basically makes it not efficient goal-wise. But then again, our normal crit Zeri build does have Charge Blade as well as Runans in the build itself. At least previously before the Lethal Tempo and Shield Bow changes, because I now think it's better to build Shield Bow compared to Charge Blade, which I will be, covering in another video. But yeah, but basically, with this build, we technically have two attack speed items, which is Terminus and Runans, and we don't actually have other attack speed items in the build, so I guess it's still fine. It's not abusing the conversion rate too much, but if you go for Lethal Tempo, which I do think you should, unlike what I did here, I think that that's a little bit of overkill in terms of attack speed. Of course, Lethal Tempo will be very useful for the range throughout the whole game, but the attack speed from Lethal Tempo really only comes in handy at the earlier stages of the game, which is like before you reach your second item. After you reach your second item, stacking Lethal Tempo is only going to give you AD and not actually attack speed, so that's something you definitely want to take note of. So here, classic Zeri laning. Zeri's a decent laner, right? Against a Jinx and a Lulu, which of course is it's not a hard lane matchup, but it's just a bad like late game matchup. So here Darius is coming in for a gank. He comes really slow though, and Jinx has to flash to get away. The good news here is that from Darius's gank, Jinx popped both sums, Lulu popped both sums, and me and Seraphine still have all of our sums. So we have a 4 summoner spell advantage here, which is really huge. So we definitely can look for a kill or something like that if they make a mistake, because we have a huge summoner spell advantage. But yeah, Zeri laning is just pretty straightforward. You just zap them with your Q whenever you get the chance to, and just auto-attack them whenever you get the chance to. But it's not like you do the most damage in lane and can kill people easily, or it's also not like you don't do damage and you can get killed very easy. So she's just a mid-tier laner in terms of ADCs. Of course the top-tier ones are champs like Caitlyn, Kalista, champs like that, and the bottom-tier ones are champs like Sivir, for example. But yeah, or Neela. Yeah. So anyways, here what we're doing is obviously we just farming, and we can see if we can find a chance to really go in. Now we got the wave outside of our tower, so we're not gonna attack it too much. We're only gonna last hit to kind of maintain the wave at this spot. Now this is gonna be a very good spot for us, obviously, because this forces the Jinx and Lulu to step up to CS, although they're taking their sweet time to come back to the lane, and this gives us the opportunity to perhaps look for a chance to get a kill. Jinx's ghost is coming up really soon already, so we're kind of losing the window to really go in and fight. You can see that with Lulu protecting Jinx as well, and with the ulti available, there's not a lot we can do. So here I'm just trying to get in some damage. The Nunu comes in for a gank at this point, unfortunately, and only because I'm Zeri, I can hop over the wall and hop to safety. And now my Seraphine is in trouble. Does die to the Nunu gank for first blood, which is obviously not really part of the plan. But yeah, obviously we played way too aggressive there, considering we don't know where Nunu was. And I have to pop the ghost to run to the wall to dash over it. Now honestly, the Nunu played a little bit better. He could have rooted me earlier, and then maybe Jinx and Lulu could have done something. But obviously I don't think it's really easy to kill me there, because I still have both sums and a dash over the wall. So don't think I would die there regardless of what happened, but maybe could have made me burn my flash. So yeah, Nunu is back at it again. Looks like he's gonna get mid this time. And so this kind of tells us that we know that that they're not around for the next, not they, but Nunu is not around for the next while. So it's back to a 2v2 in the top lane. The objectives are spawning really soon. Not too much is really happening yet for us in this game, unfortunately. And of course, we still have yet to hit any kind of item spike or anything like that. So, Zeri's a very strong late game champion, so it's okay for early game to just go, very uneventful. And technically Jinx also a very late game champion, so she's okay with that. We're kind of handshaking, and scaling. Not too much is really happening here. Although of course Lulu is gonna scale very well. I mean, Seraphine is gonna scale very well as well, but I always consider Lulu to be way more useful than Seraphine, because like Lulu can protect me and buff me up, whereas Seraphine, you know, she does damage and does provide some CC. So kind of a little bit of a different role here. Now we are going to be doing the dragon. Lulu gets hooked in by Darius, has to flash out. Nunu is now coming in hot. I hop over the wall so I don't get hit by the snowball. Nunu tries to ult, but Ziggs secures the dragon. Nunu is now just tanking a whole ton of damage from me. I got a full stack Conqueror here. And I have the ulti active. I'm chasing people down. I get polymorphed, but I'm chasing the Jinx down. She's 1 HP. I flash forward, pick up the kill eventually. And now I'm in a very awkward spot where one way is Nunu and the other way is Ezreal. So I have to kind of decide which way I want to go. Eventually, I choose to go the side of the Ezreal. And my Seraphine straight up just ditches me and just tries to run away. When obviously there's no escape. Like, you run to the tower is just going to kill you. So I felt that we should have tried to fight there. And maybe try to get a kill on Ezreal, or like, you know, try to trade a kill back basically, because in that situation we've gone collapsed on in the enemy jungle and there's no escape. So the best play to make when you have no escape is to try to trade a kill. Like, if you know you're not gonna get out anyway, you know, even if both of you die, if you get 1 kill back, it's better than both of you dying and getting no kills back, which is exactly what happened here. So Seraphine definitely misplayed the situation by quite a bit. But, you know, at the end of the day, I did get a kill on the Jinx. I did take a death for it. But we still have a decent, gold lead on the Jinx. And, you know, if we reach late game, the game is mainly going to be about Zeri versus Jinx. Of course, we do have other good scalers like Ziggs as well. So late game generally benefits us a bit more because my team scales better compared to someone like Ezreal, for example. Ezreal, though, now 3-0. He is getting very fed. Rush Triforce first item. So no mana immune here. But he definitely is at a power spike with that Triforce. Now it's me versus Jinx in the 1v1. Jinx has the turret taker in terms of the toolkit. And at this point I have my Terminus completion, so I'm just going to back and get the Terminus. Now with Terminus, if Jinx sticks around and doesn't recall, I can very easily 1v1 her, because Terminus is one of the strongest 1v1 items in the game, just because it gives you resistances, which makes you take less damage, and gives you penetration, which makes you deal more damage to them. So Lulu and Seraphine are now back in the lane. Jinx has taken quite a number of pot shots at the tower, of course with the help of the turret taker, the Hex Tech tool, I guess you could call it. But yeah, so now we're back in the lane. Jinx has not yet completed Bloodthirst, so she only has the component. So for this window, we are definitely going to be stronger than her until she resets. So again, it's same thing like the Summoner Spell situation, where if you can, you want to try to take advantage of the fact that you're stronger. But honestly, you can see it's really hard to force with a Seraphine. Like, if we had like a engaged support like a Leona or a Nautilus, it would be a lot easier to force. But here we can't really force anything. So anyways, here we are actually stacking. We get the engage onto the enemy champions, but once again Nunu comes in and ruins our plans. So here, actually, we're in a good spot because we're under tower. I'm being able to DPS. I have you know, my Conqueror stacked up. I have my Terminus stacked up, and I'm actually ready to fight. Now Lulu starts tanking tower here, and she gets really low. I'm trying to chase Jinx. Jinx is now 1 HP. I try to flash out of the Nunu out and try to get the Jinx, but she lives on 1 HP, unfortunately, and I do end up dying to the Nunu. So I got a little bit too aggressive there at the end by trying to go for the Jinx. I probably should have you know, stayed under tower and just fended off the attack. But I got a little bit greedy there, so I do end up you know, I do end up dying. But it's definitely not a doom situation. Like, when Nunu came in, we already got a good amount of damage, and we already have a partially stacked Conqueror and a partially stacked Terminus, so we definitely could have played 2v3 in that situation. But obviously I misplayed it pretty badly by going way too aggressive. But yeah, so enemy team though, here you can see that it's Darius versus the 2 tanks, and Ezreal has now showed up to the party, so Darius is in trouble. Riven now in the 1v3, but let's take a look at what Riven does. There's a 3-0 Riven with 2 items. Nunu is running away, running for the hills. Ezreal goes down and gets the reset, and now the Nautilus is in trouble. Flash forward, auto attack, and Riven gets the kill. So now my Riven is 5-0, definitely carrying the game at the moment. She has 9k gold. In the meantime, while the whole enemy team is distracted, in particular the Ezreal, who's the mid laner, I run straight to mid and clear the tower. Again, just rolling out of the way the snowball. I have to say that if I was not Zeri, I would have gotten hit by 3 snowballs at this point. So the Zeri's wall hopping capabilities paying dividends here. Yeah. So at this point, we're 1-2. We have our Terminus completed, and not yet having our Runaan's Hurricane. So we're not in the most amazing spot here. We do have more gold than the Jinx, but pretty much most people on the enemy team have more gold than us, like the Nunu, like the Ezreal, you know, things like that. So at this point, I'm starting to realize the situation, which is that we can see here Nunu and Nautilus are coming in, and they're really tanking now. Here I'm trying to look for a fight. I get the ult down, you know, for the extra auto attack damage, and now I'm still trying to blast wherever I can. I'm blasting the Nautilus. Nautilus is taking a bunch of damage. I finally get the kill on him, dashing forward into the pit to get rid of the Ezreal, and he goes down. We get the dragon as well, so 2 dragons in our pockets. And yeah, so I started noticing the problem, which is that you saw in that fight, I had to DPS the Nautilus for a long while. And looks like Nautilus is the kind of top laner that groups with his team. He has Heartsteel first item. The Nunu has a Sunfire as his first item. So here I have the Runan's completion. So I start realizing a problem here. I'm starting to realize that the enemy team is very tanky, versus a very tanky front line. So here I actually decide to opt into a Bork. Now Bork, of course, is a item that gives you on-hit damage that scales off of the enemy's current health. So it's a huge counter to tanks like the Nunu, like the Nautilus, and even to some extent even the Ezreal, because Ezreal actually has built health. Because he has defensive boots and he has Triforce. So he has a decent amount of health as well, which is going to allow my Giant Slayer and eventually my Bork to do more damage to him as well. Now the only issue with building Bork in this build is the fact that Bork is an attack speed item. So the attack speed is going to get converted into attack damage, which, you know, I guess is kind of fine because we already have more than enough attack speed. So converting to attack damage, you know, is the only way it can happen here really. But we really need that passive. And it's not like we cannot build Terminus or Runans because they are core items for this Zeri build. So here we're grouped as 5. Jinx is meanwhile pushing the other side of the map. Baron is coming up really soon, but I don't really think we're going to be able to do it. Now we're looking for a fight here because we are obviously 5-man strong. I get hit by a snowball. Here Jinx is still not in the fight, and Nautilus engages in, gets hooked in. Good Seraphine ult here. I'm going to go in onto the Ezreal. Darius gets a double kill, now running people down. Gets polymorphed by the Lulu, but he catches the Lulu out. I slow the Lulu down with my spells, and Lulu is now running for the hills. Darius gets a triple. And it's a huge teamfight win for us. Nunu is still alive, and so is the Jinx. But at this point in time, I think it's a good time for Baron. Let's see if we actually end up doing it. Well, looks like we don't, question mark. I'm getting a little mid lane parity. We can still do it if my team wants to, but it looks like the answer is no. Now, something I really realized after the T-Hex came and, the T-Hex became the Baron, is that a lot of times when people would have done the Baron previously, people no longer want to do the Baron because most people, including myself, kind of think that the T-Hex is kind of trash. Like, they have buffed it like pretty much every patch in a row at this point. But even so, I think that the TX itself is decent. But I just think the fact that you have to lose a member for that guy to pilot the TX is just horrible. Because you never really want to lose anybody on your team. Like, you never want to lose that champion. And the guy's just stuck in the TX, has to waddle his way around the map just to buff up, you know, minions and give them the Baron buff, when in reality that Baron buff could have just been on everybody, and everybody could have buffed up that minion previously. Now I have to say that I can't wait for like patch 5.3 where eventually I'm assuming that the TX is going to get removed and it's going to go back to the old Baron, because I really hate this TX personally. But anyways, here, enough about the rant of the T-Hex. Now I'm actually going to build into my Riftmaker here. I'm not yet going into the Bork, but I guess at this point I realized that I really need the Bork because 2 health items on the 2 tanks already, Psychic Projector on the Nunu as well. And yeah, it's really time to go for that Bork. In fact, I believe Ardent gives health as well to Lulu, so I guess you know, that's kind of why Giant Slayer has so high value in most matches, because even if they aren't really tanks, like Ezreal and Lulu are not tanks, but they have items that give health. Like in the case of Ezreal, it's the Triforce, and in the case of Lulu, it is the Ardent. So yeah. So here we complete our Riftmaker, and we now have our 3 core items. So normally this is where we spec into defensive stats. And as you guys can see here, there isn't a lot of AP damage on this team because the Ezreal is obviously not AP. He's building AD, and Nunu does have some AP, but he's mostly building tank. So we don't really even need the Maw in this match, which is why instead I decided to go for the Blade of the Rune King, because in this particular match, even though it's not really part of Zeri's build normally or at all, in this match Blade of the Rune King has such high value, so I guess it's time to go for that one. So here the final dragon is going to be spawning, which is going to be Soul for my team. So everyone is here to fight for the dragon, enemy team and my team. Riven gets hooked in by a Nautilus, takes a bunch of damage, eventually does go down. Seraphine now goes in onto the entire enemy team. I'm getting CC here, but here I'm just blasting away at the enemy team, life stealing with my Conqueror as well as my Riftmaker, and here unfortunately I get polymorphed by Lulu, so I lose out on like 1 second plus of DPS, and because of that I have to actually flash away. I honestly believe that if I was not polymorphed by Lulu there, I believe I win that 1v1 against Jinx. But of course I can't be fully sure, but I believe that I would have won the 1v1. I'm not too sure what you guys think, but I think I would have won that. So here anyways, the enemy team is trying to do the dragon to deny our soul most likely, so I lifesteal off of the minions. I'm heading over to the dragon, as is Ziggs, and we're going to see what we can do about the situation. So here I check the dragon, I see Jinx is on it, I'm trying to go ahead and stop her. She slows me down, Ziggs tries to steal it with the Super Mega Inferno Bomb, but Jinx eventually gets the last hit on it. Does end up dying for it though, and Lulu also ends up dying for it, but they do deny our soul. Now personally, I don't think this is a very big deal because the soul is Ocean Soul, and really Ocean Soul it's not that great of a soul. It mainly benefits tanks very well, and obviously it's good for their team, but on my team it's like, it's meh, so I don't really feel too bad about it. So here I get the QSS to kind of solve the CC issue, which I kind of got stuck in just now. With all of those Nautilus and Nunu CCs. Of course, most of them are knock-up, so of course we do have to be careful to use it, you know, before we get hit, or you know, when Nautilus roots us with his auto. But yeah, so here I'm realizing that I really need the Bork, so I'm just trying to power farm my way to getting enough gold for the Bork. And helping out my Darius to get this red buff. Of course, I already have a red buff, but obviously no one on my team really benefits from red buff aside from myself, Darius, and maybe Riven. Riven is stuck in a long fight with a Nautilus, so here we're trying to back her up. She's now getting stuck in like a 1v3. Seraphine now hits a lot of people. I go in with the ulti, Nautilus ult goes onto me, but I'm in a safe position. I'm ghosting forward, trying to reach the fight. Here I'm hitting whoever I can, hitting first target basically. And I try to dash forward to finish people off, but I'm taking a ton of damage and I end up dying here. I honestly thought I could have killed, you know, multiple people there, which I guess technically I did, in the sense that by them killing me, my team was able to kill like 2 more people, being the Jinx and the Nautilus. So I guess I didn't die for nothing, but I thought that I would have survived and killed like 2 to 3 people, which was not really the case. Yeah, because I have to be honest, I obviously I don't play this Zeri build a lot, and I felt that if I was crit Zeri that I could have killed them, but I guess on hit Zeri just doesn't do as much damage, you know, but it's just more, has more survivability and things like that. So it's obviously a trade-off whenever you change your item build, and in this case I do less damage but can survive a little bit better, in my opinion. And again, I really need that Bork to shred through the tank, so I probably should have bought it 1 item earlier, honestly, but yeah. So here now, we're back out on the map. The Elder Dragon is now spawning. I'm trying to make it there as quickly as I can. My whole team is already there, obviously because I'm the last one to respawn. And the enemy team is now here to contest. So obviously it is the classic 18-minute Elder Dragon fight. Nunu is coming in with the snowball. I get hit by it, as does Darius. It barely does any damage, and I am in a safe position. I hopped the wall because I thought Nautilus was going to hook me there. I'm surprised that he didn't launch the hook there. If I was him, I definitely would be trying to. Riven is looking for either a split push or a flank position. I'm not sure which, but she's in a really weird position where it's really hard for her to join the fight. Nunu is coming in. Nautilus ult comes in already onto the Ziggs. Nautilus tools are getting used. Nautilus now getting blasted by me and Ziggs. Huge Seraphine out here. I go in with the ulti, yeah, unstoppable, and run back to the back line. And now we are kind of winning the fight. We're trying to chase people down. Nunu ults there. I'm going to flash out just in case. I'm not sure how much damage it does, but I'm going to get rid of the Jinx. Now just free firing onto the Nunu. No Bork completed yet, so I'm doing a little bit not the most damage to him. And here, Riven, it looks like she has a split push and is trying to end the game. Now here, initially I was thinking maybe we can just end the game right here. We don't even need Elder, but you know, Riven is getting stopped by Lulu. So instead, I'm just going to take the quote-unquote safe way, and I'm just going to go secure the Elder with the Darius. So if we're not able to end, we can at least have the Elder. It looks like Riven's given up on ending, and now Ziggs is the one trying to end. But either way, we get the Elder Dragon, and Lulu is fending off the Ziggs. So it's not going to be the end. We're going to actually back. We're actually going to complete the Bork. And now in the next fight with the Elder Dragon and with the Bork, we should be able to literally melt through all of them, including the tanks here. And yeah, I mean, Lulu even has a Zeke style, which definitely gives her health, so she's gonna feel the effects of the Giant Slayer and the Bork as well. So here, I guess the most logical thing to do is to get Baron, because we have Elder and the enemy team is gonna be forced to fight us at Baron. And so we can either like try and bait them into a fight, or we can just take the Baron for free. So Darius is kind of trolling here because he is just walking around in their jungle instead of doing anything. He's walking back and forth. Look at him. He's walking back and forth. He's not helping to tank the Baron, and he's not helping to do anything. He finally comes to the Baron. Nunu tries to come in, but there's no way he can enter the space. The rest of his team is defending top against the Riven. Split push because Riven's trying to end the game. And we get the Baron. Now they're all going top trying to go for Riven. So here we're getting the mid lane wave in. And now we're trying to race there to try to help our Riven. And maybe get a team fight win and maybe just end the game right off of that. So here the enemy team realizes what's happening and they are now running away. My Ziggs is almost killed by Ezreal, but ends up baiting him in. I actually get a double kill here. Jinx over the wall, pops the stasis. But I'm just going to zap her for the triple. And here actually could have been Penta, but Darius took the 4th kill, and at that point the Penta was dead, and Riven took the last kill. Anyways, we end up ending the game here, and there we have it. This new Zeri top build. A little bit weird build, but definitely works out well. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.